Welcome everyone to another episode of the Centre Circle podcast, episode 56. You got myself, Keith, hosting. Welcome. So yeah, before we get into it, just want to say thanks for all the likes, subscriptions, comments, reposts, etc. that's happening on the social media sites, etc. Please keep it up. Back into it with a full fixture of Premier League games. And after the international break, the games really came back thick and fast with a bang yesterday. Today's games weren't as exciting, but yeah, we'll get into all of that. So let's start off with the title race, because that's what everyone's here for, isn't it? So earlier today, just finished, Manchester City 0, Arsenal 0. So as a Liverpool fan, I'm pretty pleased with that. I
I
know,
bet you are.
as the Arsenal fans were when Liverpool played Man City a few weeks ago, hoping for the draw. We got it, but I must say the game wasn't very good. Adrian, what are your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, you're right. I think it was very cagey for Arsenal, and I think there was a level of emotions that we were working through, in terms of how to get through that game. Because last year, we lost 4-1
Yeah,
at Etihad. So this year, I think we was going through a lot of emotions. We were a bit nervous, but I'm happy with the draw because it gives us a platform to continue to go on and be in the title race. So I think tactically there was a little small tweak that I think Arteta made a small mistake on, which was I think he should have swapped Jorginho and Rice around, had Jorginho as the 8, like what he done against Liverpool, and pressed from there. He done that change at half time, and then that allowed us to press them a little bit better and get out when they were on top of us. But Man City showed their experience and their levels. They've been in this many a times, and you could see that they were like well grounded in it. They knew what they were doing. They were going through the gears, applying the pressure, and we had to deal with a lot. I think it was a great performance by the defense today. Gary Neville gave Saliba man of the match, and I think it was Gabriel, in my personal opinion. I think Gabriel made a lot of great blocks, very aggressive in his defending today.
yeah,
Ben White was very good. To be fair, the entire back line was good. Raya was a bit nervous. But for me, what this game showed was that we're becoming a bit more resilient, And if I look at the Champions League game against Porto, it was the kind of that same thing. Like we was in a kind of a territory that we haven't been in before, and we just stuck to to ourselves, the game plan, and just executed it, and just kind of worked through the emotions of the game, So I'm happy with the draw. I think that gives us a good platform. We're becoming more resilient, and I think we're gonna.
yeah, definitely. And I think you've got to look at the kind of evolution of Arteta. Like last season, you were a good team, like played really well. Like obviously we're in the title race, but going to the Etihad, you didn't really kind of change your game plan. I'm not saying that Arteta changed his game plan today, but you can see he wasn't on the front foot as what you normally have been in games, and there haven't been many games like that. Like obviously there was the Porto game, like you mentioned, today's game, but even games that you've lost this season. So even going back to the Aston Villa game, like you were very on the front foot. Like even though Villa had chances, you were very much on the front foot. And I don't know, it might have been a little bit of my naivety. I thought you would have kind of gone at City a little bit more than what you did. But today wasn't a game of you had to win. So I can understand the setup that Arteta had, where we can go, not be as attacking and fluid as what we have been. We know that our defence is good because your defence has been good since the turn of the year. Like you've been shutting out teams like quite easily since January. And I think Arteta got it right. And these are kind of games that you look at managers like Mourinho, Simeone, etc. If they had done that, everyone would be calling it a masterclass.
Yeah.
And I think there's a little bit of Arteta hate, a little bit of Arsenal hate, where everyone's like, "Oh, they've killed the game," blah blah blah. And even like I said, the game wasn't great. It wasn't an amazing game, but Arsenal did what they had to do. And as an Arsenal fan, as an Arsenal player, as an Arsenal manager, you're leaving the Etihad with a point, a place that you haven't got anything from in the last however many games. So you can't really really begrudge them that. Well,
So I think one thing was how much we missed Martinelli today as an outlet. That genuine electrifying pace. That's what we missed today, and you could see when he came on, it made him a little bit nervous. But obviously, he's not match fit and etc. etc. But we don't have enough players that's got that level of pace at the moment. They've got good
yeah,
pace. Like Saka's decently fast, Jesus is decently fast, but that electrifying pace as an outlet, we never had that as an option today. But I think Jesus playing left wing today was more of a defensive decision than an attacking decision. Because I think Trossard, even
yeah,
though he's good
it's the
on the
work
left,
rate.
he's not physically as physical as Jesus or Martinelli, and he doesn't have that same level of pace either. So yeah, so definitely pleased with the result today.
Yeah, and I was gonna like just ask you about the lineup in terms of Jesus playing out wide. I I saw him starting. I was like, oh, that's a bit not weird, but because he's your attacking player, hasn't really
Mm.
got the return that you would have wanted from him. And Trossard's been in good form. I know Martinelli's been injured coming back, but again, he obviously that speed outlet. Obviously, being at the Etihad, you're going to look to
Yeah,
counter. His speed will help. But as you've just said, the defensive work that Jesus puts in, off the ball work that he puts in, it makes
yeah,
sense to play him in a game like this
yeah,
and get that other side to him. Like if he's not going to be a major attacking threat for you, get that defensive, get that dog work from him
yeah.
to help the team in general. And I think it paid off.
Definitely, kind of back in the upper, you can see the growth of the team in terms of the squad, should I say? Because even though Kubuya played well, Arteta had the option of Tommy is fit, let me bring him on, you know.
Yeah,
And then Party, since he took that break from international and he trained, he looked a lot sharper today. He was playing balls between the lines, and I think if he was a lot fitter, I think he would have started over Jorginho today. But because he's not match ready to that level, he had to come on with the last 20, and he did give us something a little bit different. I think if you look at Martin Odegaard today, he ran really well, but you could see that the occasion he was a bit nervous because there was like 3 or 4 through passes to make today that he never made, and usually he will make those passes.
yeah,
He underhit it, he overhit it, he never connected at all. There was 3 opportunities, 4 opportunities in that game where he could have played it through for Saka, for Havertz, for whoever. But I could see he was a little bit nervous. But he made sure he didn't lose his personal jewels against the midfield. He was tracking back and everything like that. But you can see the growth of the squad, and now that everyone's fit, it's given us a really good choice.
I totally agree. And on the nervousness of kind of Odegaard, it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's a bit it's weird considering we know kind of the level of player that he is. And I'm
Yeah,
not saying that he freezes a lot on the big stage, but I think the one criticism that we could level at him is that in the bigger games, he's not always as present as what he can be and what we know he can do.
yeah,
And I think once he kind of overcomes that, I think he'll be a force and it will kind of help Arsenal so much more going forward. Because obviously you've got like Bayern Munich coming up. As I said before, I think you guys will kind of get past Bayern Munich quite easily. I'd be very surprised if they knocked you out. But then when you're looking forward to the semi-finals and your potential opponents, they're the games that you want a player with Martin Odegaard's ability to be able to
yeah.
step up and kind of show you what he can do. Like, right, do we need someone to take the game by the scruff of the neck? Can he be that person? Like, it can't always be Saka, Martinelli, or relying on Saliba, Gabriel at the back. You need someone
Yeah.
like him to be like, right, big game, let me kind of show you what I can do. So,
But I think today, what they done was give us a foundation to work from. I do think the Bayern Munich game, I don't think it's gonna be an easy win because I think again it's that we're gonna be in that territory again, like the expectation, the emotions that we've got to
yeah,
perform. But I think what today done and what the games against Porto has done is given us a foundation to work from to build upon. Now, I think today, even though Martin Odegaard in terms of attacking wise wasn't great, I think his work rate was excellent today. Like he didn't go missing in that department today, and in the right moments he was there to be counted on. So I agree with everything else you say. Apart from I think the games against Bayern Munich, they're going to be a lot tighter than what some people believe they're going to be. Because I think we just haven't been there. The squad's all new to it, you know.
I know, and I know it's new for the squad. It's new for quite a few of the players. It's new for Arteta. But having watched Bayern Munich a few times this season, Champions League, in Bundesliga, there's just something missing from them. And I think if Arsenal play as Arsenal can do, I think it'll be pretty much a walk in the park for them. Let's just touch on Manchester City. They were fairly dominant today, but they were dominant without any penetration, really and truly. It was like you can have the ball in your back third and the middle third, but once you hit kind of the attacking third, like Arsenal will just kind of shut you down. Like there was, I think it's like one shot on target each today, something like that. It was like pretty low return for both teams.
Yeah.
Obviously Walker and Stones didn't play, so they had the four centre backs in defence, which is it's crazy that a team like Manchester City haven't developed any fullbacks in the time that
Do you think they've
Guardiola's
moved
been there.
away from the fullback notion and gone with like a lot more defensive solidity to get them through the game now? So, rather be defensively solid and suffocate the game by being defensively solid rather than like, let's be really attacking and be a threat that way. But I do feel that when Rico Lewis came on today, he gave us a different dynamic because he started doing the invert, but he's very good on the ball. And I think if he had a few more match games in terms of leading up to this game, I think he could have been quite decisive in this game today, like in terms of what he was doing on and off the ball.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like we've seen over the last couple of years, whenever there had been like a fullback issue with Manchester City, they've just played one of the centre backs out wide. So whether it be Ake, Akanji, Vardiol's pretty much been their left back all season. Like they haven't replaced Zinchenko, have they? Like obviously it was Zinchenko and Mendy fighting for that left back position. Then it was just Zinchenko. He's gone now, been gone for 2 seasons, and they haven't fought to bring in a left back. Walker's pretty much locked down the right back position for however many years. And we know Lewis can play either one of the fullback positions, but again, that's not his natural position. So it does seem to be quite quite purposeful that Pep has been playing centre back there. So I think you're right that could be, Pep's a tactical genius, as they say in it. Like this could just be one of his things that he does. I personally don't see it evolving. Obviously, we've seen it with Arteta and Ben White. Like Ben White, we all thought would be signed as a centre back. He did play there a few games in his first season, but he's a full blown top quality right back now, isn't he? So yes, it's interesting how they can look at the pitch and picture how they want players to play, and obviously they work together. So it might have been an Arteta idea when he was at Man City. So, KDB was quite quiet. I thought Silva had a decent game.
Yeah.
Rodri was just Rodri, like quite controlling in the middle of the park.
62 games now?
Pardon?
Is that 61 or 62 games now that he hasn't lost?
I think it's more. I think I saw it was 68. Like it's a lot of games. Like he just broke the record for whatever it is. But yeah, it's in the 60s, whatever the number is, and you can't really fault him, man. Like he's a top quality. I know he gets a bit of stick from some corners because he's not as pretty as what Busquets was.
Yeah.
But Busquets was kind of one of a kind, in it. Like you can't really hold many people up to that standard and that Barcelona standard at that. So yeah, they were kind of the two positives, but Foden and Haaland, they were pretty bad today.
I think all the big players were quite quiet today. All of them, all the match winners, they were all quiet. They got nullified today. Today was the day of defenders, and defensive-minded players like Rodri, Rice. Those are the ones that stepped up today and kind of nullified the key threat players.
Yeah, definitely, and like right now, football's quite reactionary, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like Haaland hasn't had a good a season as he had last season, and the criticisms that are being thrown out at him now are, well, he's not a good footballer if he's not part of the game. If he's not scoring, he's his football ability doesn't really help him or the team. Like obviously he can do the whole hold up, drop off and
yeah,
spin, etc. But pure football wise, and we spoke the other week when someone's like Darwin's a better footballer than Haaland, I
yeah,
think that criticism is gonna come at him a lot more if he doesn't if he doesn't start scoring. It's like, right,
yeah.
fair enough, you're not scoring, but what else are you doing for the team? It seems like he's not doing that much for the team.
And I think that's the thing. But for me, I think, like you said, he can do it. I think he just intentionally chooses not to. Um, but then you're going to look at that because they didn't bring on Alvarez today. Like Alvarez
Yeah.
gives them something a little bit different. But then look, they've another injury today. Ake is injured, and then we don't know who else was carrying something during the game or picked up something during the game as well. So I think for City, there's a lot of like player management to get them through to the end, but they've got the experience to manage that, and the quality. They've got loads of match winners there.
Yeah, definitely. And the fact that they can bring on Doku and Grealish at the same time, which is like 140, 150 million pounds worth of
Yeah,
worth of player.
yeah,
Like it's quite an indictment of kind of the availability to them. Doku I thought was okay. Like I still think he needs to finish up that kind of end product a little bit.
yeah,
Grealish was okay. Like we saw when the game ended, like Pep was doing his whole animation thing with a player, and it just turned out to be Grealish
yeah.
this time. So that was 0-0. We're going to talk about Liverpool in a second. That leaves you 2 points behind
Yeah.
our Liverpool. What's your take on the title race now? Is it a case of just hoping Liverpool slip up so you can capitalise?
I think I think there's just loads, a lot more twists and turns in this title race. We all got Wolves. Wolves, they're a accumulator nightmare. You don't know, you know, they are.
Yeah,
Wolves are going to win that
no,
game
very
at
true, man. Very
3-0,
true.
etc. I thought they were going to. Anyway, we'll talk about that. But Wolves, that I think when you're looking at, we all got Tottenham,
Yeah,
and then
I think
you
Aston
know
Villa as
got
well.
you got Aston Villa.
Yeah,
So there's a lot more either a draw or a loss. So there's a lot more twists and turns, but I think everyone's going to be a bit edgy towards the end of the season. I think it's just minuscules of mistakes that's going to cost them, cost anyone the title or come out of the title race.
yeah, and I was chatting to a fellow Liverpool supporter yesterday, and I was saying it might be because there are three teams left in this title race,
Yeah.
but when it's just been Liverpool, Man City, I haven't
Mhm.
felt as on edge. Like I don't know
Yeah.
how you felt. Like last year, obviously it was you and City battle it out. Like I don't know if you've kind of felt that because there's another team in it that you've kind of got to look out for now. It gets feels like a little bit more nervy about.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, it's just
Everything counts now. Every single thing counts. And you're looking at, this player's come through. He's not injured. Yes, we're in this. And I look at it today. Like, I bet you 80% of the Arsenal fans were happy to have it started up front today. Like, before, like, no one wanted him. Now everyone's like,
yeah,
actually, we needed him. Like, he's become such a key player now at this moment in time. So, but I think, like you're looking out for, who's coming back from injury, who's in good form, who needs to pick up form. Like, everything counts today. And like, for me, I look at Arsenal. I don't think Eddie. I don't see Emil Smith Rowe getting in any more minutes, and I just
yeah.
see
Unless it's
Eddie
like
having.
sympathy minutes.
Yeah,
So
like, I
yeah,
think
like you've
Eddie's
got
going to come
Luton
on.
midweek. So
But
yeah,
I
if
don't
you're
think
winning
he's
like
going to
three
play
or
against
four
Luton.
nil, no. But what I'm saying is like if you're winning 3 or 4-0 with like 20 minutes to go, I think you can maybe bring him on then, and then like he can help out the team. But yeah, like I agree with you. I don't think he's going to be
Yeah,
starting games, which is a bit
and even
unfortunate
now,
because
because Vieira's back, I think he's gonna try and give Vieira the minutes to get fit over ESR, and Eddie's just going to be getting the last 15, 20 minutes to chase the game, So yeah,
Yeah, it's an interesting one. So yeah, Manchester City 0, Arsenal 0. More twists and turns to happen in the title race. So right, let's go to the first game of today. Liverpool 2, Brighton 1. Liverpool conceding the first goal again. It seems to be a habit this season. They like to make things very hard for themselves.
yeah,
And
definitely.
as a supporter, I don't like it. I'm not going to lie. I just want to go out, blitz a team 3-4, 5-0, and then just not have to worry about it. But
Yeah,
these are what makes games interesting. So for those of you that haven't seen it, Danny Welbeck opened the scoring after I think it's like 87 seconds.
Yeah.
A little bit of hesitancy from Quansah, like
Yeah.
I think it was that Adingra was driving at him,
Yeah.
and the ball kind of got broke loose in the box. Virgil van Dijk tried to clear it, wasn't a good one. Dropped to Welbeck at the edge of the box, who struck the ball really well. It was a really good finish, to be honest. Like Keller had no chance of saving that, and I'm just like, here we go again. But what I would say is that Liverpool didn't kind of lose their heads.
No.
Like, there's an old saying is that you can score too early in a game, innit? And I think the fact that the goal was so early didn't really have much of an impact. Like, you've still got 88 odd minutes plus injury time, added time to get a goal. So yeah, Liverpool just kind of carried on playing. Like Mo Salah had like so many chances in that first half. It did seem like he was like forcing it a little bit, and Salah does get like that at times where you can see he's just trying to kind of do everything himself. He wants to kind of be the guy who kind of turns things around, etc. But yeah, we managed to get a goal back through Diaz to make it 1-1. Going into half time, I still think Liverpool were pretty dominant.
Definitely.
Going into half time, and I think if they had gone into half time 1-0 down, I think it would have been a little bit unfair. But yeah, fair play to Brighton. They were still in the game. They were doing well on the counter attack. They were frustrating Liverpool quite a lot. I think Liverpool ended up with maybe like five or six yellow cards in this game, just kind of out of frustration. You know, when the opposition are just kind of getting in front of you, like everything, like you can't. Yeah, just one of those games. Yeah, but yeah, McAllister, who had absolutely blinding game. He set up Mo Salah for what turned out to be the winner, and it was a really good finish from Mo Salah. And it was unfortunate that we had a third goal disallowed for a marginal offside. Mo Salah played like a pretty much pinpoint perfect pass to Luis Diaz. He was fortunate with the finish. Goalkeeper kind of let it squirm through his legs, but it was ruled out for, like I said, a marginal offside. But yeah, Liverpool were very dominant going into maybe like the last, say, 5 minutes of the game, and then for some reason they just stopped playing. It was just like they just couldn't protect the ball. It was like they were like forcing it. I think they were thinking about the goal difference, because obviously Arsenal's goal difference is better than Liverpool's, and it was like, right, maybe we can get another one, just kind of get down that goal difference, because you never know how that might affect the title race down the line. But yeah, they wasn't protecting the ball, and like Brighton had a few chances. Like Adam Lallana had a really good chance, either just at the start of added time or just before, when the ball flashed wide. But Liverpool, they saw it out, and that's what you've got to do in these games and these moments. You've got to kind of just get over the line. It doesn't matter whether it's kind of neat, messy, whatever. As long as you get the 3 points, that's what you got to do. Did you see much of this game, or?
Yeah, I watched it. And like you said, like they scored too early. But what the big difference for me was the physicality. Like, and maybe it's a lot of injuries that Brighton's got at the moment, but they couldn't apply the physical pressure to kind of put the game back in their favour or keep it in their favour, should I say. So like Adengra, he was making great runs. I think he gave Conor Bradley a lesson today.
Yeah,
Not
first half
in terms of
definitely.
he terrorised him, but in terms of just Conor Bradley, maybe for me, what I was observing was a bit too excited to get forward sometimes, and there was times where he could have just held his position to nullify that threat down their left or down your right. And same with
Yeah,
Quansah. Quansah was, and because of Conor Bradley being so far up, Quansah, he was coming over to cover him, and he was getting caught in no man's land. But then, as the game wore on, I could just see the physicality. They couldn't compete. Like Lamptey was just getting bullied by Gomez. Everything that Lamptey tried to down their right, Gomez was just shutting it out, barging him off the
yeah,
ball. They couldn't get out whatsoever. The only physical players they had was the back line or the centre backs, the right back and Gross. Everyone else physically couldn't compete, and Welbeck. But then Welbeck was being outnumbered. So when he did get on the ball, he would lose it rather quickly because he didn't have the outlet or couldn't rely on the wingers to hold it up for him to get back involved again. Who was there? Brighton's DM, I thought he was really poor today. Is it Belieber? Yeah,
yeah.
Belieber.
Believer, yeah.
I
It
thought
was,
he was poor today. I thought he
yeah,
struggled throughout the whole entire game. But then I think their injuries, they had no other option to kind of turn to change that, until late on. So
yeah. And they have had quite a few injuries. Like like Belieber's not really a starter. Moda, who kind of played in the 10, he's
yeah,
not particularly a starter. Lamptey were played further forward today, but he's kind of been injured, coming back from a long-term injury. Adingra,
October,
Welbeck, yeah. So yeah, I kind of understand where you're coming from. It's just Brighton seem to be just kind of like a little shadow of last season. And the thing is, they're not playing badly this season. It's just that because they hit the heights of last season, it's kind of a little bit with Eddie Howe and Newcastle, isn't it?
yeah,
You reach a certain level of play, and everyone thinks that you can do that week in, week out.
yeah.
Where we know in football, there's not many teams that can sustain that level over a period of time, especially if you're a smaller club, so to speak.
And I think when you look at the injury list, Matoma, Pedro, Gilmore, March, that's those are physical players. Those are really
Yeah,
physical
and key
players.
players.
Key players as well, So I think that definitely made it easier. He's done relatively well. The one I'm really interested is Fatty. He's not coming on. I
Yeah,
thought he was gonna, bring his quality from Barcelona, and they just don't seem to be impressed by him whatsoever. Maybe he's homesick, so he's not, turning up in training or giving the performance in training to show that he's ready to compete. But they're not even turning to him as an option, to get them out of this sticky
yeah, and
situation.
yeah. I was surprised with it as well, but again, it's a bit of a culture shock to go from Barcelona to Brighton. That's one. He's still fairly young,
Yeah,
too, and I guess Brighton are not as free flowing as what they were last season, are they? So I think that move with Barcelona would have been like, right, this is how we're going to play, etc. But obviously, like you say, with the injuries, Matoma, who was like their key player last year, being out, the free flowing fluidity is not there as much.
yeah.
So all these could be factors, or like you said, he just might not be up to it this
So
season. But
the question I
yeah,
have for you today, because you saw when is Trent back? When is return?
they're saying he should be back, if not for Man United, the game after that. So maybe the Europa League game.
Because I was looking at today that the amount of time the wingers were getting, especially against Conor Bradley and Quansah. I think
Yeah,
Canute is going to be back, right?
yeah.
He was
Canati
on
was on the
20.
bench. So, yeah, so
But then I was thinking, you got games against Villa. They got Bailey. McGinn will be back. Then you got West Ham, who's got Bowen, Kudus, and Antonio. These are quite physical teams.
yeah, tricky wingers as well.
Tricky, and then Tottenham, like, even though I think you're going to beat Tottenham, I think Tottenham will scare you because, again, they got pacey wingers that
Yeah,
are quite
and they
physical as
love the
well.
counter, don't they? They
So
like,
I
yeah,
think,
top and
and they're
tower.
all,
Yeah.
I think they're all quite back to. I think you've got West Ham, Villa, and Wolves, haven't you? I think.
I'm not sure of the exact run, but we have to play all those teams. Like, yeah, our running is not easy. So yeah. So
Yeah.
what's the question? What you lobbying at me?
I'm just asking that after that conceding that goal today and the amount of chances you've been conceding or coming back from a goal down or 2 goals down, how do you feel?
Um, like I'm confident in it. Like if you look at Liverpool season as a whole,
Mm,
we in the league we've lost 2 league games. We shouldn't have lost against Tottenham. Like we've spoke
yeah,
about that to death.
yes,
Arsenal are the only team that have actually dominated us, I would say.
mhm,
So that's like 1 game out of 29 where we've been
mhm,
like proper dominated. And I can hold my hands up and say that's a game that we deserve to lose. Maybe if Van Dijk doesn't make the mistake, like things turn out a little bit different, but it is what it is.
yeah,
And then outside of that, we lost in an injury time game to Manchester United in the FA Cup.
yeah,
But again, over 90 minutes, we dominated Manchester United
yeah,
and we lost a Europa League game. So we've lost 4 games out
yeah,
of nearly 40 this season, which is
yeah, yeah.
which is
It's been very,
tremendous, isn't it? Like in any walks of life, that's tremendous.
but is
So
that you looking at those results? 'Cause for me, yes, it is tremendous. But then without the context in terms of like coming from behind, like for me, that's a big factor. Like how many?
no, there's been so like but Aston Villa we controlled. Like I can't go through all the fixtures,
Yeah,
but
yeah, all of them.
yeah, I
But
think there's been games that we've gone behind, but even though we've gone behind, it's not a case of we're being dominated. So we
yeah,
went behind to you guys, we were slightly
yeah,
dominated. Went behind to Manchester City
yeah,
at the Etihad, slightly dominated. But on reflection, the whole game was pretty even. So even though
yeah,
we go behind, we're not being outplayed and dominated by it. It's normally just like an error. Like it's very rare that Liverpool concede a really good goal,
yeah,
or it's normally through our kind of indecision and
yeah,
all
yeah,
that kind of stuff. So yeah, going forward, I'm pretty confident that we can go to any ground and get a result. And at Anfield, I will always back us
yeah,
regardless,
yeah,
just because of what Anfield kind of brings, etc. So yeah, we're going to come up against some tricky wingers. I don't think Bradley will be too phased. I think today was the first time we've kind of seen a bit of fragility with him, and that
yeah,
only happened in the first half. Like the coaching staff must have spoken to him
yeah,
and Konsa and been like, right, they're getting at you down
yeah,
our right too many
yeah,
times.
yeah,
You need to kind of tighten up, etc. And I think that worked.
yeah. I, don't,
And like,
I wouldn't be worried about that either. I think it was a lesson today. He learned. I think it was just a bit of inexperience. But other than
yeah,
that, I
this is it.
wouldn't worry from it.
Yeah, and like I say, he's only been in the first team since
Yeah,
since January, and these are all things that he'll learn and kind of be able to adjust himself, hopefully over time,
yeah,
like within the game, rather than having to get to half time and then potentially having to be spoken to by the coaches, etc. Hopefully, it'll be something that he can learn. Because, like I say, going forward, he was he was really good and he wanted to get up there, but he needed to kind of concentrate more on his defensive, which is everyone's been praising
yeah.
like quite a fair bit. So it's just like he seemed to get a little bit too carried
Excited
away.
today. It was timing.
Yeah, but
I would,
yeah, man, it was yeah, like we got the result in it. That's all we need to do. Like I'm of the mindset of I don't care how we play, just get the 3 points.
mm,
And if we can get 37 points from our next 9 games, you know what I mean? We win the league in it. So yeah,
I wanted to
that's right.
highlight one player, and I wanted to
So
ask.
27 points, not 37 points. My maths was off there. 27 points.
No,
So
so, and I wanted to highlight one player, McAllister. Like we kind of touched on him today, but oh, I said it like for what you spent on him and what you're going to get from him was incredible. Like, I think that's a great deal. I think definitely he must be your player of the season, right?
oh, 100%. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, he's just had a good World Cup and a good second half of the season last year. We're not sure, etc." And I was like, admittedly, I didn't know how good he was. Like, I knew he was a good player. When I saw the fee was like 30 to 35 million, I was like, even if he's not a hit, like
You can't
it's
go wrong.
okay in it because we haven't paid over the odds. Like we've seen the transfer fees that players have gone for, etc.
Yeah,
Like if even if he's not outstanding, it's fine. Like it's 30 million.
you're not
Like that's
losing.
nothing.
Yeah, you're not
But
losing.
like the 30 million that we paid for him, and you look at the other Brighton midfielder that went to Chelsea, like
Yeah,
it's an absolute steal. Like what he offers, and the fact that he was essentially sacrificed in the six
yeah,
for the early part of the season until Endo got up to pace,
yeah,
and then now he can play that little bit further forward. He can look for those forward passes, the progressive passes,
yeah.
like his ball retention, his like work rate off the ball. Like it's a superb signing. And I know like everyone is saying Rice should be player of the season, etc. Like I think McAllister needs to be
He's up
up there with him as
100%.
well. Like I
And
think they've been as much as they've been as good
yeah,
as each other throughout the season.
I agree. I was like when you signed him, I said that's a great signing from the beginning because I saw him at Brighton and in the World Cup I felt he had a better World Cup than Enzo, but everyone was kind of about Enzo. I think that was just great PR by his agent
Yeah.
and Benfica.
And the thing is, at the World Cup, McAllister didn't start the first two games
Yeah,
where Argentina struggled, and it wasn't until McAllister came into the team and they changed formation a little bit when they they
and
kicked on.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. No, I definitely think he's up there. I think Rice is getting it because he cost 100 mil and he hasn't kind of wilted under the pressure of the price tag
yeah,
compared to other 90 million and 100 million players that's come to the Premiership or just performed in the world overall. You know, many
yeah, of
hundred
course.
million pound players have struggled to live up to that valuation. But McAllister, I'll say you've got to be careful for Real Madrid coming sniffing around in 2 years' time because he what is he 24?
Yeah. Wait, if they were to drop the 150, 200, then like we'll have a conversation in it. But yeah, I think until then, he will continue to he'll continue to flourish. Like um, we don't know who's going to be our manager next season, but whoever comes in, we just hope that he can continue to develop as he has done. And I think the fact that you've got Endo, who's kind of come into his own as well in that sixth position, has really helped him. Like he doesn't
Yeah,
have to worry about dropping back and covering because
yeah,
the person behind him isn't that great, etc. Like you could see when we were playing like him, Sabozlai, and potentially like Gakpo
yeah.
in that middle three, like it was a little bit disjointed, like it didn't work. Like we got over the line, like in quite a few games
Right,
with
it's
it, like
disjointed.
it
Yeah,
wasn't pretty. But now what you've seen with Klopp is like you've got Endo, your dedicated six, you've got
yeah,
McAllister, and then it's one of you play Sabozlai, Jones, if and when he's fit, Elliot, Gravenberch. You've got essentially four players fighting for
yeah,
that one position now, just because of how good McAllister has been. Like normally, you'd play your six, and you could rotate your other
yeah,
two players in the middle
yeah.
of the park. But McAllister's played so well; he just nailed on. So yeah, well done, well done, Liverpool and the scouting team there. So yeah, Liverpool back to back to top of the league. They so it's essentially in our own hands, so to speak. And one of our pod members said it would be a bottle job. He loved to throw it out. If it'll be a bottle job if we don't win the league. And when things are in your own hand and it doesn't go your way, you could say it's a bottle job. But I think there's too much twist and turn to potentially happen. And in addition, there's like you've got three teams that are kind of separated by 2 points or three
Yeah,
points even.
yeah.
It's yeah, it's yeah, it's gonna be mad. But let's see what let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Right, let's go to potentially the game of the weekend.
Oh,
Um, Newcastle v West Ham.
ooh.
Newcastle 4, West Ham 3, and I was watching this game and I was just like, this is football in it. Like this is this is what you want. Like
End to
when you're
end.
watching a football game, this is exactly what you want. So this was the early kickoff on Saturday. and Newcastle go 1-0 up through an Isak penalty. I thought it was a penalty. Like, I know a few
I didn't think
people
it
kind
was,
of
but
had debates. So if you didn't see it, uh, Anthony Gordon was kind of doing jinky-majinky in the box. The ball broke loose. He kind of nipped in, and I can't remember who the defender was.
it was Suchek.
Um, or the Suchek, yeah. So just as Gordon's gone to toe poke the ball, Suchek's caught him from behind, and I thought it was a Stonewall penalty. It went to VAR because I think there might have been an offside in it. I think that's what the delay was, more than whether the tackle was a foul or not.
Yeah.
But Isak stepped up, dispatched it pretty
Cool.
easily. And then West Ham, to their credit, they didn't falter. They were still in the game somewhat, and they managed to get the equaliser through Antonio. Yeah, Antonio. I think Paqueta played the ball over the top, didn't he?
Yeah.
And Paqueta again had a really good season, had a really good game against England last week in the friendlies, and it was a really good finish from Antonio. He's got 2-2 now after having not scored since last year, and West Ham carried on playing well, and they went into the lead just before half time with a goal from Kudus. All kind of broke to him on the edge of the box, and it was quite a good finish. Drilled it in. That was after Lascelles had been down for quite a long time with a knee injury, and it turns out that he's ruptured his ACL. So that's like another long-term injury, knee injury that's happened in the Premier League this season. I don't know whether there's going to be some kind of investigation or some kind of research into the rise of ACLs over the last kind of 12 to 18 months, but there's been quite a few of them this season. And then at the start of the second half, West Ham make it 3-1. Bowen with a nice tidy finish, and at that point, I'm thinking Newcastle dead and buried. They got to start thinking about Eddie Howe's replacement. To be fair, I still think they should start thinking about Eddie Howe's replacement, but we'll touch on that in a bit. And then I don't want to say it's Phillips' fault. Actually, let me check when Phillips came on. Before was it 3-1 or 3-2 when he came on? Bear with me.
It was 3-1.
Was it 3-1 when he came on? Yeah. So Phillips comes on. You think, game management, see out the game, etc. And then this penalty decision is a little bit more contentious. Oh yeah, because Phillips gave away the penalty, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. Yeah. So again, the ball's in the West Ham box. It breaks to Phillips, who looks like he's about to clear it, just kick it out of the box. But Anthony Gordon nips in front of him just as he's about to connect with the ball, and he ends up kicking Anthony Gordon in the back of the foot. So for me, again, I think this is a penalty just because he's kicked him. Like, I know it's not like a deliberate foul or anything like that, but he blatantly kicked him and he's gone down. So you've got to give a penalty in my eyes. What about you?
Yeah, I don't think any of them were penalties today. I think the ref. I'll be honest. I think there's accidents, and that's what I saw them as, accidental clashes that no one could avoid. Both of them were going away from goal. The ball was under either of the players' control. Yeah, I just felt the ref was really soft on those penalties. But
I understand.
I'll be honest. I do prefer that he sticks to his guns. But I know what's going to happen next week. That same referee, mostly, is not going to give away a penalty, and the exact same situation happens. And he's going to talk about the reason, the force, the reason, the intention behind it, and nonsense.
Yeah, no, I think even if you kick someone by mistake in the box, I think it's a penalty.
And I hear you, but I know next week that same referee is going to happen, and he's not going to give a pen.
We'll have to wait and see.
All the West Ham fans are going to be in uproar about it. You know.
Yeah. So West Ham get a penalty to make it 3-2. Isak steps up again, slots it home, this time against Fabianski because Areola had to go off at half time. Not sure why, obviously due to an injury. And then just 6 minutes later, Harvey Barnes steps up and goes through and makes it 3-3. And you think, wow, Newcastle done really well here to
Get a point.
nick a point. But you know when you're watching a football game and there's just like a massive momentum shift. It just seems like from the point of that penalty being awarded to Newcastle, the second penalty being awarded to Newcastle, there was nothing West Ham could do. Like this game was either ending in a draw or a Newcastle win. It was just one of those one-way traffic games, and obviously Newcastle, 55,000 people, like the crowd was just up, and yeah, they got the winner through Barnes in the 90th minute, and you could see kind of the emotion and what it meant to kind of Eddie Howe, etc., and like the dejection that was on the faces of David Moyes and the West Ham players. So I don't want to say it was kind of bad in-game management by the players, because obviously you're 3-1 up. They've taken off Antonio, they brought on Phillips, and that's essentially to see the game out. You've got like 20 plus minutes to protect a 2-goal lead. I think the players should be able to do that. What's your take on it?
You know what? And it just came to me because it happened in another game. Sometimes I think, what did they say? Best form of defense is attack. You know, we've had that saying, right? Sometimes just put another attacking player on to go for a goal, to be a nuisance, to be a goal threat. So you've gone to man manager. You say, all right, let's protect the lead. Let's get a defensive-minded player on, or put a defender on. And sometimes what ends up happening, what often happens, is you start kind of absorbing the attacks. You start saying, all right,
You start retreating, don't you?
You're inviting it on. You're inviting that. Oh, we're going to invite this wave of attack on again because we've got a defensive midfielder on, or we've got a defender on. But actually, you're pushing the momentum in the other teams. And I think sometimes just put a striker on, put a winger on. Say, all right, go get a goal for me today. We've got 3, go get another 2. You know, I think sometimes it looks a great idea. When it pays off, no one says anything. But actually, when I look at a lot of games and when teams go defensive, I often find that they put themselves under pressure. They might see out the game, but when you look at how they see out the game, they're under pressure, they're making last-minute tackles, clearances, because you're telling the team, all right, we're not going to come out of our half now, we're going to defend. So you're just inviting that team on, and then the opposition often sends on another attacking-minded player to put more goal pressure on them. So, yeah, but it's just not a good day for Carter. Just not a good time. I think it might be the worst loan. It might go down as the worst loan in Prem history.
Yeah, possibly.
Possibly. Because the whole purpose of it was for him to get back into England, for him to start a new career at West Ham, and help West Ham get to the next level. And he's not helping West Ham get to the next level. He's actually kind of regressing West Ham. You know, like James Ward-Prowse, even though he's not outstanding, he sustained them and helped them be a threat in Europe and get to where are they in the table now? Are they 7th?
West Ham. They are 7th, and the thing is, like, if they had won the game yesterday, they would have gone level on points with Manchester United before Man United played. And if you kind of have that happening for you, it's all about the momentum, innit?
Yeah.
Like they would have been able to kick on. Phillips, like Daz said on an earlier episode, didn't it? Like, no minutes is better than bad minutes, and at the minute he's getting bad minutes. Like it's really bad. And I don't know if you saw the video clip of him after when he was born on the coach. I think one of the fans said like, "You're useless" or something, or maybe something a little bit more colourful. And he put his middle finger up at him. And like, you haven't been there that long. And I know we talk about the level of criticisms that football players should take without reaction, but I just think that was like just a little bit step too far in it. Like, and it might, to be fair, it might just been the frustration from him. Like, him within himself knows that he hasn't played well. The loan move hasn't been working out for him, and it might just been frustration. Like, it's an immediate reaction. Like, we all kind of do those kind of reactions, but I don't think that's going to enamor him very well with the West Ham fans after that.
I think just like when I think of Calvin Phillips and like 'cause people will revert back to Leeds and drop his numbers at Leeds, his data. I think at Leeds, the tactics work for Calvin Phillips rather than Calvin Phillips work for the tactics.
Yeah,
And this is the result of that situation because Beasley set up the team to work to his strengths. You know,
yeah. That Leeds team they were just like they just ran, didn't they? Like they
yeah,
just all put energy in, and he was there, kind of covering the players that were getting forward, etc. And
um,
yeah, it just seems when he's in a ball playing team,
yeah,
it doesn't quite work for him
yeah,
because even with England, England are not. Granted, when they play the smaller teams, they are, but on the bigger stage, England are not really like a ball playing team.
no,
Man, Man City play football. Even
yeah,
West Ham now, they play football,
yeah,
and I think that could be where his struggle might be. Um, so yeah, West Ham are seventh. They've got 8 games left. As I said, they would have gone level with Manchester United with a win. Again, I know they're going to be disappointed about giving away a 2-goal lead, but I still think West Ham are, if they finish seventh or sixth, because they're still close to Man United. They're 4 points behind Man United. Man
yeah,
United do have a game in hand. If they finish seventh or sixth, like I don't think West Ham fans can sniff it this season. Like they're in the quarterfinals of the Europa League. Um, I think it's going to be a really good game with them and Leverkusen. Like Leverkusen ship goals, West Ham ship goals. I think it'll be a really good
yeah.
two-legged tie. Um, yeah, I don't think it's all doom and gloom for West Ham.
Oh no, definitely
So
not. Definitely not. I think what's happening to them now is marginal, and then with the summer transfer window, they're going to improve again. You know,
yeah,
the talks is Tony is the next striker that they're going to sign, and if that is true, that's definitely going to help them step up another level.
yeah, and I think that's what it like. We've said it so many times over this season. They're missing a true number 9. Like Antonio's got 2 and 2, granted, but his backup is Ings. Like if they can get a true number 9, I think they will do well, and I think they'll need a number 9 from the Premier League. And I
Yeah,
know that might be hard. Like we say, Tony. Maybe look at Solanke, like Bournemouth to West Ham.
yeah,
It is a step
yeah,
up. Like those kind of like they
those
tried it
two.
with Scamacca coming in
Yeah,
from Italy. Didn't quite work. It might be because he didn't know the league. Like to come to the Premier League as a new striker from a different country and
yeah,
to score straight away, you've got to be like up there in it. And there's not
yeah,
not many players out there that can do that. So yeah, I think they maybe us. Yeah, I would look at Tony and Solanke if I was West Ham and just pay the money. Newcastle, I think they got away with it. if I'm honest, like it was a really great comeback, but there's no way West Ham should have allowed this, and I'm still of the opinion that Eddie Howe should go in the summer. I don't know if you agree.
Oh yeah, no, I think there's a difference between managing momentum and managing actual tactics and kind of having a solid foundation. And I think what worked for him last season and the season before when he came in was he had the tide in his favour, the momentum. He was just on this confidence train. And actually now when you're looking at how he's managed the squad, which I've mentioned before, how he's the tactics that he's implementing, a bit of naivety in there, there's little small things that he's doing that is pushing the game in the opposition's favour or giving him the chance to win. What he's going to be able to hide behind is the injuries. And that's
Yeah,
what's going to be able to save him. He's going to be able to use the injuries as a reason why he struggled to compete for the top 4 again this season. But actually, it started to go that way anyway. Like the drop off from Trippier, I don't think that's an age thing. I think there's something around communication and tactics. Then Botman, again, the drop off. There's too many drop offs just for it to be around injuries. Do you understand what I'm
yeah,
saying? Um,
yeah, and it's a shame with the Botman one. Like Botman's going to be out for like 6 to 7 months. They're saying. But
yeah,
I was reading that the injury that he had, it was picked up earlier in the season,
yeah,
and he could have had surgery on it earlier in the season. But I don't know whether it's him, the club, or both of them decided not to go through with the surgery, and he would have been out for maybe a month if he had the surgery, where he didn't have it. Now it's kind of flared up worse, and now he's going to be out for 6 to 7 months. So yeah, that seems to be a bad decision. But yeah, like I say, Lascelles went out with an ACL injury. Almiron came on, then went off with an injury yesterday. Their injury list is pretty harsh, but again, you compare it to Liverpool. Liverpool had quite a lot of injuries. Man United have quite a lot of injuries,
Everyone's had
and they're
injuries.
still challenging for their respective kind of positions in the league. So I don't think it can be ultimately just about the injuries, as you said. Right, moving on to Brentford v Man United that took place last night. This was a really, really entertaining game. Um, when
You
you
think?
so I thought this game might have ended up 0-0, and if this was 0-0, this would have been one of those entertaining 0-0s where you just oh yeah, that was a good game. I can't believe no one scored. If you compare it to the Arsenal Man City game from today, for however long it was 0-0, it was much more entertaining. I thought Brentford were really good. They were at the races. They had Man United on the back foot, especially in the second half.
Yeah,
And when Tony scores and the goal gets disallowed for, again, another marginal offside, wasn't it?
yeah. It was
That was
marginal.
just after Mbuemo, who's been out for a while. He came on for Wissa in the second half, and I was a little bit surprised about that substitution. I thought that Frank would have kept Wissa on, brought on Mbuemo, and played Wissa, Mbuemo, and
Mm,
Tony, just
yeah,
because they had the momentum in the game. They had they were the more attacking team, and I thought that would have just killed off Man United a little bit.
yeah,
So yeah, Mbuemo comes on, and he plays a really good ball over to Tony, who's actually getting fouled as he connects with the ball. Um, Puts the ball in the back of the net, but unfortunately it was ruled out for offside.
yeah,
And I was watching the game with my friend, and he was saying Man United are going to score first. Man United are going to win this game. Man United are going to. And again, as you say, you've watched football over the years. You know how certain games are going to play out, don't you?
yeah.
It's
Definitely.
the team
The
that's not,
writing's on the wall.
yeah, the team that's not kind of dominating or just in the game really are always going to take the lead.
Yeah.
And yeah, Mason Mount, who I'm not even gonna lie, I didn't realize he was on the pitch. I didn't realize he was on the pitch until he scored. That's how kind of not
Quiet.
in the game Man
Yeah,
United were. It was so surprising. Yeah, so Mason Mount scores in the 96th minute, 6 minutes added time to put Manchester United 1-0 up. And at that time, you just think, right, Man United smash and grab.
yeah,
They're going to go away with the 3 points. But yeah, just 3 minutes later, um, Aya scores in the ninth minute of added time to make it
yeah,
1-1, and I think that was a just result for the
yeah.
game. To be honest, I think it would have been very unfair if Brentford left the game with nothing. What's your take on it?
Yeah, I think there was parts in the game for me that lacked a bit of quality, a bit of composure. Again, but that made it entertaining. Again, what are United trying to play? And this is where Ten Hag has to be held accountable. I didn't see them trying to play out from the back. It was just like kick and grab kind of thing. Oh, who's the nearest person? We kick it to him and let's see what he can do.
Yeah,
Um, there was too many guys that had really poor games for me. Man United's defense done really well. I think Onana was excellent yesterday. He pulled up some great saves. Some really with the point blank one, and he just dived and pushed it out or stopped it on
yeah,
the line. I think the keeper's done really well yesterday. But then United's got two injuries, Varane and Lindelof now. And I don't
yeah,
know how that's going to impact on them for the remainder of the season. But yeah, like you said, there were some good moments. Brentford definitely was the threat throughout the game. Some really good build-up stuff. And you can see why the manager's getting a lot of attention for possible new jobs that are coming up and being available. Because for the
Yeah,
squad he's
he's
got,
done really well. Yeah, since they've come up, and I think this is their third season in the Premiership now, and like we said, they seem like an established Premiership
yeah,
team. Like I know they're flirting quite close with relegation this season, but yeah, I think they'll be safe, and
yeah.
yeah,
And this is where we look at the manager because look what he done with Neil Maupay. But he had him score like 5 games consecutive back to back,
yeah, and he's
and
just a nuisance when he comes on, isn't it? Like
yeah,
he just
and he actually started looking like a Prem player again, like a Prem quality player. So he's definitely got man management down. He's dealt with injuries quite well, you know.
yeah, Tony being out, and
Tony
then
being out,
every week speaking about how he wants to leave, like
and he's let it go under the carpet. He's not even jumping on it and saying, "Oh, he needs to get out." So he's like, "Yeah, play. I want to play you. Yeah, don't worry, play for your move. Yeah,
yeah, this is it. Yeah, like
I'll help you get
100%.
Arsenal."
Yeah, definitely. On Man United, it's weird. Like we can all, as observers, say Man United don't play good football. However, they're still in the hunt for the Champions
Yeah,
League. They're in the semi-final of the of the FA Cup.
yeah,
It just seems that they always kind of manage to do the bare minimum to get
yeah,
them where they need to
yeah,
be. Like I think Manu again had like another good game. Rashford wasn't the best. Hoyland just coming back from injury
yeah.
was a bit like up and
The next
down. Same
show
with
was a bit.
Fernandez. McTominay, I think he's got to just get moved on to a smaller Premiership club. Like you can see, he's a good player. You've seen what he can do at international level, but again, I don't think he's going to be a driving force going forward.
Yeah,
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how Sir Jim takes the footballing side
mm,
going forward. So in terms of the signings and what they do on the pitch with the manager, etc. But yeah, I think Man United, if they, I, so I think fifth might be enough for Champions League just based on how the teams are doing in
mm,
Europe. They're 8 points behind Tottenham, but we know Tottenham have got a slip up in them as well.
yeah,
And even with Villa, like they're 11 points behind Villa, but I'm not. I wouldn't be surprised if they could haul haul one of the two teams back.
yeah.
Like so, let's keep an eye on that one. Go to another one of Saturday's games. Chelsea, Chelsea 2, Burnley 2. What is going on with Chelsea?
i it's just bad. It's all over the place down there. And you know
It's
that the old kind of the English, you know that the typical kind of like the British culture of run hard, tackle hard, but they're not doing that. There's no intensity.
yeah,
There's no intensity in their game. Um, it's like they're scared to play. Um, no one's really taking a lead down there in terms of getting the team together to perform really well. Yes, 10 men as
yeah,
well from early. It's not even like it was 10 men in the last minute.
yeah. So what's his name? Assignon got sent off in the 40th minute, and transpired that company got sent off as well because
Yeah,
he was objecting with the referee. Gives away a penalty. Palmer scores a really good penalty. Actually, he does a little Panenka, makes it 1-0. So you think, right, 1-0 against 10 men,
yeah,
easy for Chelsea. Like see it out. But then at the start of the second half, Cullen scores to make it 1-1, and you're just thinking, like, why can't Chelsea see out these kind of games? And like, if you look at the team that they started, like Sterling was dropped for Mudryk, but you've got a busy. If you look at, I'm just going to take their front
free.
their front players. No, from the midfield forward.
Yeah,
So you've got a midfield of Casado and Fernandez.
yeah,
Money aside, we know what Casado can do. Like we've
yeah.
seen him do it at Brighton. Like it might be a system thing. So changing system, it might be a little bit different, etc. Fair enough. Fernandez, we've seen the glimpses of what he can do. Like we know he's a very good player on his day.
Yeah.
Then we've got Cole Palmer. We know what he can do. Very good player.
Yeah.
Gallagher, not my cup of tea,
But
but an
effective.
established Premier League player.
Yeah.
And yeah, he offers you something in it. Like he offers you the legs. Like when you talk about intensity, he's the one player that can give you that in the Chelsea team. Like that's fine. But then you got Mudryk as well. Like again, we've seen glimpses, but a big money signing. We know there's underlying quality there. So why is he not delivering? Jackson, we know he just hit and missing it. Like he missed a couple gilt-edged chances yesterday. So those kind of players, like that front six, I think more should be coming them, especially against a team like Burnley, who are pretty much cannon fodder at times, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they should be offering more. And then, Palmer makes it 2-1 in the 78th minute, and we think, right, they've kind of got away with one here. But no, Burnley just kind of keep going, and O'Shea equalises just a few minutes later, and they could actually won it because Jay Rodriguez hits the crossbar with a header and the ball falls back to him, but he's kind of off balance.
Yeah.
And he kind of spurs the shot wide. So it's, something needs to happen at Chelsea and something needs to happen soon. Whether it's the higher ups kind of get their structure right so that Pochettino can kind of work with the team and the board about players that they want to get in. And Pochettino needs to have a look at himself to understand why he can't get the best out of players. Because I say it's not a bad team, it's not a bad squad, but they sit 11th in the league, 1 point ahead of Fulham, 2 points ahead of Bournemouth. Like there's no way Chelsea should be that far down in the league.
Really bad. And they need a whole new backline. The backline's all woeful.
I think Gusto could make it.
Yeah, that's it. That's the only one.
Yeah, I think of all of them, he's the guy. Yeah.
Reece James has got too many injuries. Like I saw gossip that they're looking to sell Reece James to generate money. Who's going to buy Reece James?
Yeah, like injury prone. Like it's crazy, and you've just made him your captain at the start of the season. Like what? Yeah, it's absolutely bonkers.
We all know about Reece James's quality, but
yeah, absolutely mad.
All he's doing, he's going to see out his contract at Chelsea, and then go to the States or go Europe.
Yeah, why not? Yeah,
that's it. That's
earning decent money. So
he's going to see out the contract. They're not going to give him a new contract. Then he's going to go to Europe and then go to the States and just finish off. But right now, and see that what's happened. Tim Sherwood for his interview with Cole Palmer, he's justified now.
Yeah, he is.
No one can say anything to him because everything he said is true.
It is. It's just the levels are not there in it. Like it's just it's weird the way that it's transpired. But I think I bizarrely think Chelsea are in a good place just because they've undeniably got players with a bit of talent there.
Yes.
Whether it's just a management thing and a new manager may come in and be able to get the best out of them, but they've got the ability to buy players. I think even if they sell players, they're going to sell players for a reasonable price, which they have done throughout the years.
Yeah.
So let's just see. Right, moving on. So we had Bournemouth 2, Everton 1. Everton haven't won in I don't even know how many games. 12 games they haven't won, which is ridiculous for a Premier League team and a team of Everton stature. So Solanke made it 1-0, and then Everton thought they had a valid point. Gomez scored to equalise, and then I don't know if you saw the own goal from Coleman.
Yeah,
but I don't understand it. Like the ball gets crossed in, everyone kind of leaves it, and I think it just bounces up awkwardly in front of him, and he ended up chesting it into the goal past Pickford, which is in like the 9th minute of added time, and you can see the way everyone's heads just dropped and were deflated. Everton are in trouble, man. Like, granted, you've got the points deduction, but you've got to start getting some W's on the board
Yeah.
just to kind of help yourself. Like, I know we said that Burnley and Luton are kind of not gone, but they're in precarious positions, and Forest as well. But Everton are 16th on 25 points. Nottingham Forest are on 22 points in 17th. Luton are on 22 points in 18th. So that's just one win away from catching up with them. And then look, Burnley are on 18 points. So, Aston Villa 2, Wolves 0. So what that means now is, as I said, Liverpool top of the league ahead of Arsenal and Manchester City, and then down in the relegation zone you've got Sheffield United, Burnley and Luton, and then we've got that race for the Champions League between Aston Villa, Tottenham and Man United, which will be good.
Yeah.
Right, so let's wrap this up. As I said at the start, thank you for all the likes, comments, subscriptions, etc. Please keep it coming, and we'll see you next time for a midweek episode, because there's lots of midweek Premier League fixtures. All right, peace.